to take a minute just to make your mind. Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and I feel we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather, I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double, but nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't stare. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison.
Alrighty.
All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning.
Alright, y'all. I'm back at it again. We survived another day of the madness, another day of the circus, another day of just whatever the hell this is, an attack, essentially, an attack, a well coordinated attack against the United States of America, but in the making, not some flyby attack. No, we're talking about a lot of coordination. You could even say not just an attack, but just basically war, if you want to call it that. I mean, if you think your government is under assault, then you are at war. Plain and simple. In some way, somehow, you don't have to know how. You don't even have to know the who, really. But you do know a whole lot of shit is going down. That's for damn sure. And, some people, it's like it's really hard to understand where people's mind frame is essentially on this stuff, but because it's scattered, Trump and his administration, they're very active. They do something here, they do something there. It's all big. It's all a big show, right? All big things. By the way, no data brought back. The data, and even if any data is brought back, it's pretty poor data, right? But they do big things, almost as if to keep people distracted. I mean, and this is really bad when you, let's say for no other reason but to distract people, you drop a bomb. That's not good if you have to drop a bomb to distract people. Well, yeah, what if we have to raid your Social Security? Boom. Take a looky here. What if we have to chase a bunch of immigrants around on the street, or not even immigrants, really, just people that look Hispanic, chase them around, brown or black people. We just chase them. I mean, we're only going to stop the white folks at the border crossings. But inside the country, we're going to harass anybody who we think doesn't look American enough. By the way, Who's taking ISIS DNA? Who's taking their DNA test? I would really like them all to have to take an Ancestry.com test to be in ICE. I mean, I'm telling you, I've been saying it for a minute. A lot. You don't know if these people are just first, second, third generation Americans themselves. You don't know. And you don't even know if some of them are dual citizens. You don't know that because they are not showing people the data. They're not showing people the data. But in any case, there is one person that's very significant, important enough to get all the, all the help, all the attention, all the good looks, all of everybody's attention, your taxpayer dollars. Your taxpayer dollars. It's a few people that get your attention all the time. Ghislaine Maxwell, yeah, she's got your dollar. She's got your attention. She's got your president's attention right now. She's very, very, very important to United States of America. She's she's up there. She's like on the top. She's on the top because whatever it is she knows, the president of the United States is bending the knee constantly. I mean, he's graveling, just crawling around, scrapping and scraping like Puffy said, P. Diddy or whatever the hell. Scrambling and scratching is what Donald J. Trump is doing for this lady. And she ain't a lady, she's a pervert, a molester, she's a rapist, she's a trafficker. Likely also espionage, right? Well, she's very, very important. And a lot of people really didn't think in the beginning like that this woman would be so significant to their lives. But she is very significant. I mean, people didn't care. A lot of people, they didn't care. This is the beauty of it all. This is the beauty. See, you don't have to, and I'm saying this to women out there, women that believe that not enough people pay attention to trafficking, people that believe not enough folks pay attention to what's happening to the young people in their country. People that have that feeling, don't worry about that. Because as long as people don't pay attention to the Virginias, Jeffries, and the victims, right? Don't worry, it's so beautiful because these people will be the victims of this woman next. And they don't even realize it. They don't even realize it that they, in terms of what is going on right now in the United States of America and with Trump and with her, what is about to happen, you are every bit as powerless because you don't fucking count either. You're nobody. You are nobody. You're nobody. And why are you nobody?
The victims today have been informed about the facts that Maxwell was moved. And that, is another just kind of slap in the face. It's also, I think, really important. There's an element of re-traumatization here. Because one of the things that Maxwell in particular did so effectively is she would taunt these victims and she would say, or people that would be in a position to know things, and she would say, you can't do anything because we own the police. We own the FBI. We own the district attorney's office. And so that had a really chilling effect on people that may.
That's why. Because she and her squad owns the country. They own the Supreme Court. They own the FBI. They own the police. And that's why you're not going to do a goddamn thing about it. You are going to be just as every bit a slave as those young girls were that you didn't give a fuck about in the 90s or in the 2000s. Yes, every citizen is now going to be their slave, and you're not going to do a goddamn thing about it because they bought your Supreme Court. They bought your White House. They bought it. They bought it. I mean, they got the money. They got the money, honey, and you don't. You don't have the money. You're not welcome in the club. You're not welcome in the club at all. You're poor. You're middle class. You're worried about an electric bill. You're complaining about an immigrant. These people don't give a goddamn about an immigrant. They are fucking immigrants themselves, you stupid fucks. I'm talking to you MAGA people, you dumbasses. You should wake the hell up. You should learn to listen to some other Americans for a change. Not that I give a shit about immigrants. I'm just saying you mags are so goddamn stupid. You don't even see the real attack on your own fucking democracy. I mean, you are in dereliction of duty, you MAGA people. Because while you were throwing all the bones, somebody else just walked right in front of you and basically called you all niggers. Basically. Especially you white, you MAGA folks. That's what they call you. Because who else would let someone walk in their country, buy their entire country, Supreme Court, purchase the White House, purchase an election? The only person that would allow that is a goddamn slave. And it's a lot of mental slaves. It's a lot of mental slaves out there. This is the king and queen of the United States of America, and they're going to get what they fucking want, goddammit. And you're going to stay out of their way. You are going to stay out of their way. And why are you going to stay out of their way? Why?
None of the victims today have been informed about the facts that Maxwell was moved. And that is another just kind of slap in the face. It's also, I think, really important.
And what about Trump? They bought Trump, you dumbass. Okay, wake up, Garrett. And Trump, look at, anyway, my fault, Garrett. Maybe you're not talking to me, Gary, and Trump, they bought Trump. They paid for Trump. They got Trump by the balls. They got him on tape with little girls, allegedly, right? She's got all the dirt on Trump, and the other guy is the one who paid for his whole election. And here they are in a picture before all of that happened. And this is who you are.
Element of re-traumatization here. Because one of the things that Maxwell in particular did so effectively is she would taunt these victims, and she would say, or people that would be in a position to know things, and she would say, you can't do anything because we own the police. We own the FBI. We own the district attorney's office. And so that had a really chilling effect on people that may.
They do. Elon Musk owns them. This woman owns your president. He is running all over trying to change elections, trying to do redistricting in Texas. He's running over trying to interview Ghislaine Maxwell to see what can he do before anything but release the files. Anything but release the files. Anything. I mean, she controls this man. She controls this man. Why? Why? How could one person control a man? It's because he's a dumbass. They found a way. I mean, he's a sick bastard. He liked little girls. He likes them on the younger side, apparently. He's a bad businessman. He doesn't mind hanging around with Russian oligarchs, Russian mafia. He doesn't mind, this is what happens. But they know the secrets. See, these two, they know the secrets that the American people are not even allowed to know because Trump is not going to give it to you. And the people that have been involved in this, they're not going to give it to you either. They didn't give it to you in Florida, Pam Bondi, Acostas, and they're not going to give it to you today. They're not going to do it because they don't want the USA to be free. They want people to continue to be blackmailed and continue to be used. Why not? Why not? If the American people are that easy, if the American people are just pushovers, then why not? I mean, I really do think American people are pushovers compared to other countries. I mean, other countries are way more united. And when it comes to their nationality, their nation, nah, they would instantly come together and do something about it. But the United States has a problem with racism. And that's the Achilles heel of the United States of America, racism, because that racism is what you can fuel to distract a lot of simple-minded people. You know, you can throw out easy, chunks of meat for them to catch on. Meanwhile, they won't care about Elon Musk in the Treasury. They won't care about the president running around changing all the rules just to what? Make sure that, this woman gets out of jail. I mean, Trump is going to give her a pardon. Trump's going to give her a pardon. And and she's going to keep those secrets. And he's not going to release the FBI. These files are not going to be released as long as Trump is in power. Pam Bondi is not going to listen to the courts. The Supreme Court
have been inclined
is paid
to
for.
Forward. And this situation today, I think none of the victims today have been informed about the facts that Maxwell was moved. And that, is another just kind of slap in the face. It's also, I think, really important. There's an element of re-traumatization here. Because one of the things that Maxwell in particular did so effectively is she would taunt these victims, and she would say, or people that would be in a position to know things, and she would say, you can't do anything because we own the police. We own the FBI. We own the district attorney's office.
And see, they told their victims this back in the 90s when Trump was running around with Epstein, right? This is what they were telling the victims. We own the DA. Epstein got off with a slap on the wrist. We own the FBI. The FBI was all over there. They're the ones who helped. I believe they went along with this slap on the wrist, the local one. And Acostas, he got a promotion when Trump got in office. It's almost like you think, he got off. None of the, all those files were sealed. No one could get to know about Trump back then, so Trump gets a promotion. He becomes president, washes the hand of Acosta. Thank you for keeping the file sealed for me. Bondi becomes the next head in Florida. Now she's, she had to be keeping some secrets for a while, because she knew exactly what was going on in Florida and who's involved. But yep, she's got a job under Trump, right? She went on record saying that she agreed with Acosta's handling of the Florida case. And now they're not going to give out the records today. I mean, now they're not going to give out those records. They're going to talk it. They're going to postpone it. They're going to wait. They're going to hold it as long as possible. They're going to make people wait as long as possible until they get everything that they need. But the problem is that once Trump got that promotion, excuse me, Trump also has the, it's not just the FBI in Florida anymore. It's the FBI all over the country. We own the FBI. They own the Supreme Court, which is why the Supreme Court bent a knee so many times for Trump. I mean, as they would never do for any other president before him, ever. None. Not Bush, not Reagan, not Clinton. None. Now American people got to sit back and watch this, and it's all tied up with these folks. I mean, they're more important. These two people are more important than all the lives of the American people, all of them put together. Elon Musk, naturalized. He got his passport, probably paid for it, right? Not a blood American, right? Gets to raid the Treasury. When was the last time somebody got to go in the Treasury like him? What American? How? His folks have been in the USA for centuries and centuries, never even had the idea that, I could just raid the Treasury. I bet you never thought that the president would be pardoning someone who sex trafficked and enslaved people just to keep some secrets. Just to keep some secrets. Anyway, folks, this has been really, really crazy. I mean, it hasn't stopped. Trump is running around the country trying to head off the secrets. Everything he's doing is about the Epstein files, keeping some sort of secret with the Epstein files. I mean, everything he tries to get some, grand jury deposition shit, which doesn't really have a lot of information in it, tries to get that opened. Although people want the files, the Epstein files, all of them from the FBI. Not this little bit that's in the depositions, but he ran over there to get people to focus on that. Then he runs to have a meeting. He sends his number 2 guy in the DOJ, number 2, to interview her. A trafficker that didn't testify in her own trial. A trafficker, he goes to meet the trafficker in prison. Her lawyer is one of his friends. Yes, the 2 lawyers are friends, representing 2 different sides. Yo, I'm just telling you, the odds are, the game is stacked against y'all. The game is stacked against Americans. Trump, he's not even a 3rd generation American. This is really this is Americans falling for American stupidity. Outside forces really able to just clean up because of American stupidity. A lot of it based in racism, being able to prop up a MAGA movement and, merge it with racist ideologies, phony nationalistic ideologies, by the way, phony as hell, because most nationalistic societies want people to have education, want people to have healthcare, but not these fools. These fools, they're a hybrid, they're a hybrid, but nonetheless, they have the racist aspect to them. So everything else can bind, you can create a political party and bind, and bind a whole lot of other elements to it, of dissatisfied people, and have a movement. But at the top of the movement, y'all get totally sold out. It's just, where does it end? Now they have secret meetings. I know I've been a little bit long, but before we get into it, I'm going to drop some videos. But now they even have a secret meetings. And I've been saying this the whole time. Secret meetings now with J.D. Vance to plan what they're going to do now. So basically, their plan is this. This is what they have to do. So listen up. They have to do this. Trump has to give Maxwell this pardon. He has to. She has to get out of jail. And he's going to give it to her because it's the only secure way to keep her ass shut, to keep her mouth shut. It's the only way, because they know who killed Epstein. They know. So Trump is going to give her that pardon. The American people are going to be so pissed, obviously, and they're going to make it so Trump gets sick and J.D. Vance is going to take over before the election. He's not planning on waiting. They're not planning on waiting 3 years for a presidential election for J.D. Vance to be the president. That was never their plan anyway. And on top of it, because of the timing, because Trump must sign a pardon for this lady very, very soon, the sooner the better, because if he prolongs it, it's only going to make the 2026 midterm elections even worse for them. So J.D. Vance is basically their only soft point. A new face, a person to get out there and try to disassociate themselves from Trump a little bit and try to appease everybody else while keeping the tech bros like Elon Musk happy, like Thiel happy. And these people are very, very, very conniving, very cunning. That's why I use the word war, like very, very cunning, able to lead and put their money in places where it makes a difference, where they get what they want. They're able to push buttons. They have all of the fields covered. They got the Supreme Court. And if you think the Supreme Court is just doing all of this for Trump just because because they want to, nope. It's because a couple of them have to. They have to. They're paid off. Obviously, Thomas is paid off. I mean, pretty much. He doesn't, everyone knows his shit, but then you don't know how much his wife has taken under the table. You don't really know how much, what else is going on here, but in any case, there was news. So they're running around trying to redistrict Texas. Now they're going to set off a redistricting eye for an eye across the whole country. All of this to protect Ghislaine Maxwell. Pretty much. All of it to protect her. That's it. They could just release the Epstein files, but that shows you how important those Epstein files are. What is in it is completely and utterly damning to Trump and to the cohorts, the people that have basically bought the presidency. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. But let's take a listen. There's some new voices.
Free right now. Let's listen in.
The first question that I have is, should the files be released? And I believe, yes, the files should be released. I'm tired of the government saying that they want to release them. So please just do it. And the next question is, should Miss Maxwell be pardoned? No, Ghislaine Maxwell should not be pardoned. She was convicted of sex trafficking of children. This is a terrible crime. Our next question is, did you ever meet Virginia Giuffre? Yes, briefly. Before Miss Maxwell was arrested, there was a meeting in New York with law enforcement, with either the FBI or Homeland Security, and with many other victims. And Virginia and I were there. And I said, "Hi, Virginia. Did you file a police report?" I did, in California. Virginia said, "No, I could not do that. I could not do that. I was around rich and powerful people." And at the same meeting with victims and their attorneys, the law enforcement agent at the podium asked the victims if they had any questions. Virginia asked why Maxwell was still walking around and free. And the agent responded that they were going to find her.
So you can see She's speaking about how the first case was handled in Florida. And ironically enough, you could just play musical chairs if you want. The same people that were around back then are around right now doing the same thing twice. And American people are allowing it. The people that support Trump, you are slaves to these people. You are officially their slaves. You're not free human beings anymore. You're not free thinking creatures. You are slaves to these people.
I'm very glad that Virginia, that she asked that question. I'm very glad.
So whatever force you're dealing with is a force that could keep this quiet back then and is damn sure set on keeping this quiet right now. Damn sure set on it. Likely has a lot to do with foreign espionage. What's really been going on? Is it just the perverts wanting to mess with little girls? Or is it the photographs that got out into foreign governments' hands that is being used against anybody that's in those files? How can you know how far it goes if you aren't even allowed to see the files themselves? If you're not allowed to see what Jeffrey Epstein knew? If you're not allowed to see what Ghislaine Maxwell knew? And you think Elon Musk, the richest man on earth, you think he doesn't know? You think he doesn't know already? The richest man on earth. You don't think he have any idea? I mean, he's in a picture with her. How long ago was this picture? This is like 20 years ago. This is before a lot of people even knew who the hell Elon Musk was. And lo and behold, he's right there. You see? And again, one can tell a lot from a photograph. One can tell a lot from a photograph for sure. And I'm pretty sure people have read and looked at this photograph, the body language in it, and can induct a lot from, I'm not going to say much, but I can see some things myself in this photograph. And I'm sorry. There's no way in hell you would get me to believe they're not up to something back then. There's no way. It's not a coincidence.
And another question is, do you want Miss Maxwell to testify? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure if we can even believe her. But, I mean, I would like to know what the U.S. Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, asked her, and what she actually said to him. And the last question, how do you feel? It's a hard one for me. How do you feel about seeing Jeffrey Epstein in the news every single day and every night, all the time? And the story in the news almost every day and every night. It's very upsetting to me, and I cry with tears like I am now in my living room watching this all the time when I see it on the news every day. Jeffrey's in my brain, and I see him again and again, and I remember what he did to me in that hotel room. And I feel pain in my heart for myself and all for the other victims everywhere. And I see it every single day on the news.
Okay, thank
you. That woman's her, just what she said, her words, you know, you could see the pain in her. You could see the anguish in her when she's talking about this. And it's a damn shame that we have MAGA people and Republicans, their elected officials, siding against victims. I mean, you know, there can be nothing more evil. There can be nothing more evil. You know, so you know, whatever it is that they're keeping a secret about, whatever it is, it's got to be a lot more worse than just the victims. You see what I mean? Like, the victims are one thing, but their motive to be indifferent to this many victims over and over and over for such a prolonged period of time, there must be something even more devastating in those files, and that these people know about already. Shit we don't know about, but the people with the money, Ghislaine Maxwell, Trump, Pam Bondi, all of these folks, they know what that something is, and they're not going to let it out, you know. And you could induct what that is, because it's not like they follow the law. They could give a fuck about the law. It's not like they give a goddamn about the Supreme Court. They could give a fuck about the Supreme Court. In some ways, they already show you they have no respect for the Supreme Court by how they've treated the courts in general. So why do they not have any respect for the Supreme Court? Could they know that they got the Supreme Court paid off? Could they know that they got a couple of people on the Supreme Court like they got Trump running around out here? You know what I'm saying? Trying to keep secrets. Could it be a couple of them? Could it be? Whatever it is, they keep it a secret, you know, and they're really willing to be indifferent towards victims, straight up. And I would even say the American people. I mean, you know, we live vicariously through these victims, because the same way they treated these victims, it's the same way they treating us. It's the same goddamn way. You know, it's the same way that they're treating us. They have no care. They have no care whatsoever for how they treat American people.
Gracias. It's a great honor to be with you again, my cousins from the Americas. As I was flying here, I learned that Donald Trump said he was going to inflict intense economic pain on our nation because we recognized Gaza as a state. Okay. What he's saying is that we do not have a right to an independent foreign policy. Mm-hmm. That's the message. The message he gives to Brazil, that you do not have the right to an independent judicial system. This is the age of gangster fascism. And so if we're going to talk about the sustainability of our planet and the sustainability of our economies, we have to talk about it within the issue of the sustainability of democracy. And, you know, Canadians, we're polite people until we're not. And one time, the issue that makes us very not polite is fascists. We fought fascists in the streets of Toronto with baseball bats in 1933. We fought them in the hills of Spain. We fought them in every battlefield across Europe. Long before America came to the war, Canadians were fighting fascists. So when you tell us that we don't have a right to a nation, when you kidnap our people off the streets and put them in concentration camps, as they're doing to your people, then we know what we're confronting. We're confronting gangster fascism. And I want to play.
And this gangster fascism is definitely not led by any American. It's not led by any American. It's led by foreigners. It's led by foreigners. And that's the phoniness of MAGA. It is a superficial, you know, it's paper thin movement, meaning it can be bought by foreigners. It can be created by foreigners. It's so idiotic. MAGA, MAGA. You know what I mean? And they just go along with it because, see, these people, they know how simple-minded these folks are. That's the thing about it. And that's why it's also an attack, because they can attack by using the simple-minded goddamn Americans. They go for this shit. They go for that division so easily and want nothing in return for it. Willing to pay tax dollars for nothing. I mean, it's like the perfect storm. It's the perfect storm. It's the perfect storm. All wrapped up in some, little girls being assaulted and trafficked, and espionage, men, elite. Look at this guy's hand. Just take a look. Just tell me this, y'all. Take a look at Elon Musk's hand. Take a look at this photo. Take a look at Ghislaine Maxwell's smile. Hands behind her back, arms behind her back. Look at Elon Musk. Is that a smile? He doesn't look that comfortable, but look at his hands in front of his body. But look at his right hand. Look at his fingers. Does this man look comfortable? I mean, it almost looks like a picture like he didn't want to be there, but couldn't walk away for some other reason. And Elon Musk, I just find it hard to believe he could resist a honeypot. He's the richest man on earth. If all these other dudes could, Bill Gates, old ass, I'm not saying he fell for that. I'm just saying that's the allegation. That's what's being alleged. This guy, Elon Musk, have about 18 kids. Why would he be any different? Why would he be any different? Tell me. I mean, do you think Elon Musk is also there somehow, caught up with this? Because keep in mind, Trump says things like, yeah, we're going to release the files, to throw people off. It's not that he doesn't mind. It's not that he doesn't know he's all up in it. It's just that if he was like, don't release them, then everyone would be like, yeah, damn, he must have done something wrong. So he's not going to say that. And it's the same thing with Elon Musk. He's not going to say, don't release them, even if he's in it. Even if he's in it, he's not going to say, don't release them. I don't know. Those hands, just look. Just look. One person looks bold, arms behind their back, strong posture. Second person, weak posture, strange hand on the leg, almost like he's just trying to, throw something together for the photograph. I don't know. Man. I don't know. It just, when I see that picture, it just looks a little, strange to me. Something is saying something, but in any case, yeah. But there's more going on. So, did Trump tell the truth? Did Trump tell the truth? All the MAGA fans, did Trump tell the truth, or did Trump lie? It's very, very weird that MAGA folk don't care that Trump lies about this stuff. It's so weird to see MAGA people. They don't care about foreigners owning their ass. They don't care about girls being sex trafficked. They don't care about pedophilia. They don't seem to care about much of anything. It's almost like this. It's really weird. They hate the people that aren't in the Epstein files, protect the people that are. It's just really ridiculous, you know. They vote for people that keep secrets from them, and yet say they're fighting for freedom. It's really, really crazy. It's really crazy, actually. Crazy. This is insane. It's insane.
Highly unusual location. Sir, why are you on the roof?
So why was Trump on the roof? Why was Trump on the roof? I mean, this guy's just trying to make any news possible so so people don't say release the Epstein files. Essentially, that seems like all that it is. He seems content with any news as long as it's not news about the Epstein files.
Why are you covering up the Epstein files?
We're joined by New York Times Magazine writer Emily Bazelon. Welcome back.
Thanks so much for having me.
I mentioned first the suspicious timing. I mean, there's so much here, but we know how it works. So sometimes our job is to make sure we tell viewers why we're seeing headlines. If you go on the internet right now, you see Republicans subpoena all these people. But why did it take so long for Comer, for example, to even sign these subpoenas?
I mean, one can imagine that he was hoping, and Republicans are hoping, that the story was going to die, right? Because Trump wants to put it to rest, has made that very clear. He's very impatient with his supporters who are insisting that they want more information. And it hasn't died. Republicans keep hearing about it from their constituents, and they made a decision that, as a result, they had to respond in some way. I think that list that you put on the screen shows that they are trying to put as much of the blame of this as possible on former Democratic officials. There are only 2 Republicans, or maybe.
Right. So they want to put it on Democrats, right? Okay. Joe Biden arrested and prosecuted Ghislaine Maxwell. Trump is about to give her a pardon. There's a clear distinction. One prosecuted, the other is letting go. The other is protecting, helping. Trump locked up Epstein, but Epstein died in prison under mysterious ways, in very mysterious ways. Trump, he doesn't seem to be too clear on what is in the Epstein files. Like, you know, you would think a guy who had a best friend for 15 years that knew him, he would at least want to know what's in the files, right? But if you ask Trump, he's like, no, I don't know. I'm not concerned. I never thought about it. No one's ever talked to me. And each and every time he says, no one's ever talked to me, someone else comes along and points out how, no, a week ago they said they told you. I mean, and now this guy is looking for who? Bill Barr. Bill Barr was appointed by him. He's the one who arrested Epstein. That's his own appointee, right? I mean, Bill Barr was the one who was supposed to be protecting Epstein.
Sort of ish 3 if you count Bob Mueller on that.
So they're doing all of this, but they don't trust the American people with the Epstein files themselves. They don't trust the people, but he's going after all of these folks. He wants to ask them stuff. He wants to know what they knew about the files. And can they tell you? Are they allowed to tell you? Are any of these people allowed? I mean, where is this going? All they're going to do is go tell you the same thing that they already wrote down before. You know, this is crazy.
That screen, and you know, why subpoena former President Bill Clinton? and not people who were more directly involved in the last Trump administration, other than Barr and Sessions, the attorneys general from the first Trump administration.
Right. The list is incredibly unserious and untargeted, which makes it look like to the very end, even after all this, a lot of Republicans see this as content farming, political content, rather than dealing with the real questions. There are questions surrounding his suspicious death and the secrecy. There's questions around his original sweetheart deal, which survivor and women's advocates have talked about on this program and other.
I mean, come on, y'all. Even the diehard MAGA folk, just please, don't you find it a little suspicious that the same people that let Epstein off the first time are right around the president right now, are the closest people to the president, and are doing the same thing again with Maxwell? Don't you find that a little strange? How do you explain that to yourself when you come out here on the internet and do your trolling?
And others for a long time. I want to go back, if we cared about the substance, to the prosecutor Alex Acosta, who's not subpoenaed, but cut the original sweetheart deal that was so controversial. This was back in 2008. Reading from Axios, he reached what they call this non-prosecution agreement. So Epstein had basically fake time, and it ended what was a federal.
Ken, exactly. They don't use common sense.
Federal probe that
This is the boy right here, Ken.
Farther, we know, because later it did. If you cared.
I mean, the dude in the picture, Acostas, is the guy that fumbled the ball in Florida, and he gets picked up by the Trump administration and appointed to a position. Come on. Pam Bondi takes over his position in Florida when he leaves to get hired by Trump. And now she's in the Trump administration doing the same thing. Come on. And look, hold on. I'm sorry. But just look at this 2 seconds. So that's Acostas, right? That is Acostas right there. And this is what was the victim said. They were talking about him.
None of the victims today have been informed about the facts that Maxwell was moved. And that, is another just kind of slap in the face. It's also, I think, really important. There's an element of re-traumatization here. Because one of the things that Maxwell in particular did so effectively is she would taunt these victims, and she would say, or people that would be in a position to know things, and she would say, you can't do anything because we own the police. We own the FBI. We own the district attorney's office.
Right. And who is the district attorney's office at that time? Who was the district attorney at that time? Right? I mean, it was Acostas. Plain and simple.
Why are you covering up the Epstein files?
Subpoena.
It's Acostas, look.
But cut the original sweetheart deal that was so controversial. This was back in 2008. Reading from Axios, he reached what they call this non-prosecution agreement.
This is the guy. So they said, we own him. He was the district attorney. So they were telling the victims, Ghislaine Maxwell was telling, and also Epstein, they were telling the girls, the victims, the ones they were trafficking and enslaving, they were telling them that, who are you going to talk to? Who are you going to tell? We own the police. We own the district attorney, the DA, Acostas. We own the FBI. They were telling them that back in the 90s. And all those people got promotions. They're all sitting in the White House pretty much now and doing it again to protect this lady. So they're doing it twice to these victims. So you know, pretty much it's not just about the girls that were trafficked. It's about the information and the blackmail also that. And that's what they don't want you to know. They're probably more afraid of the other information than just this idea of grown men being with young girls. I'm telling you, like, there's something else to this that's governmental. There's something else to this that's international. There's something else to this that's geopolitical. You see what I'm saying? Like, girls ain't that lucky in this world. Young girls ain't that lucky in this world. So, you know, of course, they're going to have people preying on them. But this story is about Jeffrey Epstein recording that. And these were not just anybody's. These were wealthy people. Wealthy. These were, you know, aristocrats. These were statespeople. These were wealthy men like Elon Musk. These were entertainers to some degree, or you know, something, you know, people in high places that you ain't going to get around. You see, so it's that's pretty much what it tells me, at least, that it's also that extra information that they're, because see, what's in that information is treason. What's in that information is selling out the United States of America, selling it, literally selling it off to people that are not Americans. Flat out. It's about the United States being controlled by people that are not Americans. That's what this is about. I'm telling you. I mean, this is what it seems like to me. Anyway.
So Epstein had basically fake time. And it ended what was a federal probe that could have stretched farther, we know, because later it did.
And see what's going to hurt. That explains why these maggots and why these Republicans are so aggressive about protecting these files, because, see, they don't care about pedophilia anyway. What they care about is their fucking image. That little flag image they carry around, which is fake, by the way. It's not real. They're not real patriots by any means. Not by any means. They just wear a flag and misuse the flag. And they like, you know, they basically wear the flag cheaply, in a cheap way. You see what I mean? They don't just fold it up and put it up on their bookshelf, you know, and have it there and protect it or something like that. No, they just drag it around with their ass everywhere, have it hitting the ground and shit, have it hanging off their dirty ass car. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, these are not proud folks in that way. So they wear that whole political thing on their sleeve, that whole nationalistic thing. And to find out that they sold their country out, that's where you're taking the veil off of people like Acosta. They were never real Americans anyway. They were never proud Americans. They were never patriots. You see, that's what this is about.
If you cared about getting to the bottom of not only this, but you say, okay, the guy's dead, but other people who might be getting away with things, if you're concerned about sex trafficking and the mistreatment of women and girls, isn't this someone you'd want to talk to?
Yeah, for sure. I think you would want to talk to Alex Acosta, who was the federal prosecutor right in the middle of this. And you might want to talk to other.
Right. You see, all the people, you want to talk to Acostas, you want to talk to Pam Bondi, you want to talk to all the people that they were going around saying we own. But you see, they don't want to do that.
Other people in the Justice Department who had some kind of oversight over those decisions at the time, instead of Hillary Clinton, for example.
Yeah. As for Trump's relationship with Epstein, this was a person who was, as the subpoenas reference, a high-flying individual. So the fact that he consorted in business or even socially with various people is not evidence of a crime. We have a much higher rigorous standard. But Trump has tried to tell this story that has got himself tied up in knots where, oh, maybe he knew enough or had enough of a falling out. Maybe he didn't know the really bad stuff, but he knew some bad stuff, so he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. That's the story. Well, new headline from Daily Beast, Epstein was still a member of Trump's Mar-a-Lago long after indictment. The revelation Epstein was allegedly still a member of the club 7 years after they used this term poached. You could use different terms, hired away or kidnapped, right? Sex trafficked. This victim from the spa at Mar-a-Lago in 2000, they say raises questions over Trump's, quote, version of events. It's a 7-year gap.
Because they've been conspiring and lying to people. You know, it's like they keep enough distance. It's called a safe distance. Just enough distance to be able to deny, to be able to say, no, we weren't friends anymore. But they're underneath the table and on the back streets, on the back avenues, they're still doing their thing. Just like Elon Musk says, you know, I didn't know her. He said the same thing everybody says. We weren't friends, you know. I didn't know what she was involved in. You know, yeah, you just take a picture though with the, they just come up to you and they're like, hey, let's take a picture. You just standing next to Ghislaine Maxwell and you don't leave. You just want your picture out there with just people you don't know, huh? Right. I got it. You know, that's so funny of a story, but people will believe it.
Do things like this, again, without presupposing anyone's guilt, but do things like this add evidence to why Trump might be so secretive about all these files?
I mean, sure, because the timing suggests that actually his relationship or some involvement of Epstein lasted longer into the time period covered by the indictment of Epstein, right? I mean, that's a crucial part of this picture.
You know, this thing here, you know, this Ghislaine Maxwell, she's and this Epstein thing and Trump, it's connected to every irrational thing that Trump does. Every single thing, because that's what blackmail does for you. Blackmail gets people to do shit they would otherwise not want to do, things that are not in their best interest. Like, for an example, if you were the president of the United States, let's say you had compromising information on the president of the United States. Let's say you got pictures of him sleeping with little girls, right? Minors, clearly minors, right? Let's say you got loads of those photographs, right? Because that the dude is just doing that stuff, right? Hanging around people that do that stuff, you know? When your friend is Jeffrey Epstein, hey, right? Now, what if you have this information and it's the president of the United States you have this information on? What could you get him to do that could help you? It would depend on who you are, right? So if you were somebody like Putin, you would, let's say, hold these pictures up anytime he says or acts or behaves like he's trying to protect Ukraine, for example. If Putin didn't like NATO and sees NATO as a threat to him, a threat to Russian power, or NATO blocking a force that blocks and negates Russian influence in the world. If you were a person like Putin, some pictures like that would help you. It would help you stop the president of the United States from being allies, you know, being in NATO and pictures would get you to do that, right? Especially if you're a weak, spineless motherfucker who only cares about yourself. You know, pictures would easily get you to do that. You see? I mean, otherwise, a president of the United States probably wouldn't behave that way at all, you know? Let's see. If you go out and you say you want to be involved in less wars as the president of the United States, and someone just happened to have these pictures that needs you to be involved in war, well, then you might find yourself somehow all of a sudden bombing Iran. You might find yourself somehow all of a sudden being like, hey, fuck it. You know, not only are we going to support Israel, but we want to build a resort in Gaza. Let's do that, y'all. Instead of saying 2-state solution, we're like, fuck that. We want a resort. It could get an American president to do something like that, similar to that. If not that, you know, you might want to interview Netanyahu. You might want to get Netanyahu. Ask him, what does you know? What do you know about the Epstein files? They may want to subpoena Putin. What do you know about the Epstein files, Putin? Tell us. I mean, you must know something, right?
When you're talking about the justice system, particularly the criminal justice system, you're supposed to represent the entirety of the community. That includes the defendant, but it also includes the survivors. And I think in this particular case, it's important to note that the survivors aren't opposing the release of these records. They're asking for respect. These letters show grief, they show betrayal, they show fear, all wrapped in a demand for basic human dignity. They're not saying don't release the files, they're saying don't release us with them. They're just asking for that private dignity. They're asking for, as Lisa pointed out, you know, some type of notification to all of the victims, but also maybe a third party arbitrator, a neutral person who can go through the files and then maybe potentially re-notify individuals who weren't notified initially or were notified without full notification under the CVRA. So they're just demanding transparency, but not really at the cost of their safety or sanity or re-victimization. And I think that's really important to note. And the judge should weigh that heavily.
And then, Eugene, there's this other part of it that Monica brought up. You know, President Trump was confronted about Ghislaine Maxwell's transfer to the lowest security facility, a prison camp. And he gave an answer that was very similar. We've been hearing from him more and more. And you're going to hear it in these two clips.
The Justice Department now putting out a new statement and saying it could meet with Ghislaine Maxwell and
So they flip-flopped. So now they went out there and met with her. And now that they met with her, because of pressure, they're saying they're thinking about releasing the video recordings, not the Epstein files. You see, like, so it's what did Ari call it? Content harvesting. Content harvesting. When you keep doing things other people didn't ask you to do just so you can have something else to talk about. So they go out and interview her, and now, you know, they want to control the news cycle. So they put out this idea like, hey, we're going to release these meeting files. We're going to release some of them with redactions, but at least we're at least going to release some, right? You know, and what are you really going to get at? You see, so they're running constantly, and totally got to the point where they realize this game is rigged, essentially, that they're never going to release these files. And I think MAGA people, since they said they wanted the files released, I think if there's you getting outside of the brainwash, that would be the one thing that might do it. I know you're not going to listen to liberals, the spooky liberal folk. The MAGA people, they're not going to listen to centrist even, right? You see what I mean? Like myself, I don't care if you call me liberal, because at the end of the day, liberal just means free, to be free, to have freedom, to believe in freedom. That's what liberal means, you know? But just naturally, I'm a little more conservative myself. I don't expect MAGA folks to listen to me, but listen to yourself. Like, you ran on the platform, you supported Trump because you wanted him to release those files, and you believed him, and now he's not going to release these files. And I would hope that people at some point see that for what it is, you know, even if you don't listen to a liberal, right? Even if you don't listen to a centrist, think about that. You know, what does that mean ultimately, when the few things that you wanted, you're just basically not going to get? You see, maybe you'll get like a couple of 6 months. You'll probably get about 8-9 months of chasing around Hispanic people. That you'll get that, right? But there won't be any comprehensive information. There will be no way for you to really know how many people were kicked out of the country or anything like that, because of the way that it's being done, right? So they don't really, you're not really taking numbers, because you don't want the bad numbers to be released. So instead, they've decided that they're just not going to take numbers at all. They're not going to take count, so they can just give people an idea. There's going to be, in terms of the accounting, people aren't going to know much, but you'll be able to see them chasing around people on TV. And that ultimately will satisfy most of the MAGA people. That will be enough to satisfy them. But the ones that stand on something, if anything at all, it will be the ones that say, like Joe Rogan, for example, to just say, wait a second, they said totally different things before. And now that they're in power, they're no longer saying those things. You know, I think it would be those folks that that will actually change and come out of this a little bit different. But in the end, there's going to be MAGA folk that's going to go right along with it all the way to the end. No matter what it's about, no matter what happens, no matter who it happens to, no matter, you know, it just won't matter to them, you know, at all. They're just going to keep going down this scope. And I guess, you know, it's a comfortable place to live. You know, denial is a comfortable place to live. You know, you don't have to face anyone. You don't have to face reality. I mean, you will have to pay more for goods. You will have to pay more for food. You will have to pay more for everything, essentially. Healthcare, all of these things. But at least in some kind of sense, denial gives someone something also. Like, you know, it gives a person right, even when they're wrong, essentially. It gives them right, even when they're wrong. So, you know, and everybody likes to feel a little right sometime. I mean, and that's just the gist of it. You know, people have to be right at some point. And if they're not allowed to be right, they will sometime. This is what kind of happens in the US, like a group of people that resent others, you know, and they will see the other people as elitist and stuff like this. Yeah, so they will revolt. Essentially, they will revolt anyway against against fellow Americans.
Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's interview with Ghislaine Maxwell. That's according to an official familiar with the matter. Joining us now, MSNBC Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Dilanian, NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles, and MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin. Ken, tell us more about your reporting.
Good afternoon, Chris. Well, as everyone recalls, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell over 9 hours, over 2 days last month, and it was unclear exactly what he asked her and what came of that interview. But now we understand that the Justice Department has crafted a transcript. First of all, they recorded that interview. They're making a transcript of that interview, and they are now considering releasing it to the public with redactions of names and other sensitive information. And this, of course, is coming as the House Oversight Committee is subpoenaing information from the Justice Department about the Epstein case. And it appears there's a debate within the administration about how far they need to go here in releasing information. On the one hand, the controversy arguably over this, the heat on Attorney General Pam Bondi may be dying down a bit. On the other hand, the action in the House and in other places and on social media shows that there's still a lot of interest in this story and in what Ghislaine Maxwell had to say. And of course, she was moved from a low security prison to a minimum security prison without explanation. And the Bureau of Prisons had to waive a rule to do that. And so a lot of focus on what she had to say to the Justice Department. And now we're learning they are considering releasing.
I mean, when I look at that image right there, she's standing in front of is that a UN? Is it? I don't want to fuel any conspiracy theories, but this right here, is that a NATO flag or is that a UN flag? What kind of flag is that? But this underscores the importance of this woman's life over the average American citizen. Like, who takes priority? Like if this was any of the MAGA folk, you wouldn't be getting this help from Trump like this. You know, that's for damn sure. You have to be high stakes. You got to be a mover and shaker. You got to be a baller, essentially, to get this kind of treatment, right? And but tell me this: what flag is that behind her? As she's, you know, in this picture right here, because that's not a Texas flag, for example. That's not a local small town flag, you know. And you know, but it underscores the people that she's around. You see what I'm saying? Like,
to the Justice Department, and now we're learning they are considering releasing it all to the public, Chris.
So, Lisa, would this be an unusual step?
Everything about this is unusual, dating back to the very conduct of an interview with somebody who's serving a 20-year prison sentence and wasn't talked to by prosecutors in advance, largely because they felt that she couldn't be believed. You'll remember Ghislaine Maxwell was also charged with perjury. She wasn't ultimately tried for perjury, given her convictions on other counts, but she was charged with perjury. But let's go back to the fact that the recording was made and a transcript may be released. That is also extremely unusual. I asked one victim's lawyer today what his reaction to that is, and he said, assuming that the victims' identities are protected, they would welcome the release of that transcript. And I said, well, wait a second.
Look, this is how desperate they are. And this is classic Trump. He throws everything at the wall. She is going to she wants a Supreme Court hearing. She wants her conviction to be overturned and to have a new trial. So how can you release interviews? You see what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. You know, everything the Trump administration is doing is undermining itself. It's pure desperation. It's pure desperation. Everything that they have done is unheard of. Again, if you're innocent, why would you go through all these hoops? What could it be for? And this is not just like saying, hey, you should try this. We're desperate. See if you can get your case overturned. No, it's not that. It's send in a lawyer, right? You know, send in your, number 2 DOJ lawyer to interview her, although she's already been charged with, what was it? Obstruction, right? You know, basically lying herself. She's not trustworthy. She didn't even testify in her own trial to save her own ass from a conviction. You see what I mean? She just didn't take the stand. So it just doesn't make any sense. You can't convince people this way. And but yet they're still doing it. All people asked was for the files to be released, and they're doing every single thing else.
Don't you have any concerns about the way the interview was conducted, given that it was conducted by the Deputy Attorney General? And the response was, yes, any competent interview of Ghislaine Maxwell would be done by someone who has full familiarity with the case and the investigation, which it appears didn't happen here. But that's all the more important for us to see it. So if there is a transcript, if there is a tape, let us see it so that we can see how partial and selective the questions were to Ghislaine Maxwell to satisfy perhaps the desires of this White House.
They're reaching. I mean, they're reaching, and they're going to continue to reach. It's not over. I guess they have more time to just do anything that they think they want to do or can do. But right now it's looking really, really bad, and there's no sign of it stopping. Now, the last thing is this. Boom. Look at this. Look at this, y'all. This is crazy. J.D. Vance denies convening Trump top team to discuss Epstein files. I mean, so they're having a meeting. I don't know if this meeting was last night, if it was today, if it's supposed to be today that is going on. Y'all tell me, is this meeting really happening? Is this true? Because it wouldn't surprise me. And again, I've been saying this, but this guy, their next move is to make this guy the president. That's very, very clear. He has been absent on so many things, You know, it's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. They don't want him to be too close to Trump. You know, but the problem is that Trump is such a lunatic. Trump, he basically calls for everyone to come and defend him. You see? And but actually Trump, he risked everything, every gain that was made, which is not really gains, because how many gains do you really make with executive orders? Executive orders can be turned over by the next president. They're not law. So executive orders are not permanent. You know, it has to be done in law for it to be a little bit, to have a little bit of sustainability, unless you're doing things the Trump way, right? Which, you know, it begs something else. But this meeting has got to be about their plan for the upcoming midterm elections, and how they're going to end and put to rest this Epstein thing. And the only way they're going to put it to rest, to be honest, is for Trump to just come out of the closet. And the best way for Trump to do that, I mean, he's not really going to come out and admit anything, but the easiest way to just get it over with is to just get it over with. And that is to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell so the conversation can change to Trump is out of here. He's pardoned her. He's sick now. Someone else has stepped in. Trust me, I'm telling you, they're going to orchestrate this. J.D. Vance is going to become the president before the midterm elections. And they're going to use some excuse like Trump is going to be sick. They have to. They don't have anything else lined up. Nothing else. They've prepared nothing else. You see? And the problem with the situation this time is that there's so many people complicit in covering up these files and stopping these files that, you know, whoever gains power next obviously has to do a whole lot of cleaning up, And these midterm elections, you could do a whole lot of cleaning up with some strong midterm election turnouts. You know, if you get 2/3 of the Senate, you can impeach. You have the power of impeachment. You can impeach Supreme Court lawyers that cover up for Trump, right? You could impeach Trump. You could impeach J.D. Vance. And this is what this meeting, if you ask me, this is what this meeting is about. Doing anything and everything to stop that. But they cannot do it with Trump in the picture, and they cannot do it with the question of Ghislaine Maxwell being in the forefront right now. So they're looking to try to salvage what they have. I mean, they're going down. Trump is going down as pretty much the PDF president, the one who sold out the U.S. Yeah, and many of his cohorts are also, because look, I mean, they capitulated to foreign influence. Trump and his cohorts, they capitulated to foreign influence in U.S. government. You know, and that is the real secret, you know, that they want to keep trapped up in a little bottle. The secret of how the U.S. was sold out to foreign influence. You know, U.S. security was sold out to foreign influence. Yeah. And that's likely what this meeting is about. They wouldn't be having this meeting if they weren't desperate. It wouldn't even be in the news. You see what I mean? It wouldn't even be a question. But under this administration, it seems to be happening already. So expect, I would even say expect definitely before Christmas. They don't want to go into the new year with this question about Maxwell. They don't want to go into the new year with this question about Trump even leading. It's killing them. It's killing them. You see, the Republicans have to kind of find a way without pissing off Trump to give him a way out. And his way out is by being sick. You know, they can give him a way out, and then they can slowly, you know, say, although we respected President Trump, we're planning on doing things a little bit different because, you know, as great as Trump was and as much of a leader as he was, you know, There have been some things that have been brought to our attention that need oversight and need clarity, and then try to get back to business as usual to save the asses, to see if they can continue, to stop themselves from getting the Friday the 13th, Friday the 13th treatment, off with your heads type of treatment at the ballot, and so they're going to be looking for that to stop anyone else from gaining influence in those elections that's going to do their job. And doing your job means prosecuting crime. Doing your job means getting back to the business of the taxpayers, removing corruption. You can't have Supreme Court justices that take bribes, that break their own ethics rules, right? You can't have things like Elon Musk raiding the Treasury, going into people's Social Security, invading their privacy. You can't have things like that and have a country at the same time. It just doesn't work. So they are off to this. It looks like it to me anyway. Let me know what you think. To me, that's what it looks like. I have no doubt that's what it is. And they're terrified, and they don't have another way out. They don't have another way out of this. There is, it's just got to be the pardon and let Trump bow out easily. That he's going to bow out sick. That's the only way he can get out of the picture for the Republicans. The Republicans can do nothing with Trump. This question of Trump, with Trump being president, they can't do anything. There's nothing they can do. They've lost the support of the American people, essentially. And whatever support you see left are just your die hard. Those people, you can never change their mind. But again, these are people that are happy with, not having health care, basically, too. So they're kind of irrational, and that's just what you got to expect. But in any case, I appreciate everybody. Sorry, I took a little bit long today. I was a little bit here and there, but I think you feel me. Please like and subscribe. If you haven't subscribe, because that way you're guaranteed to get the notifications when I'm using a different phone or a tablet or something like that. Sometimes the algorithms work a little bit different. So the only way to be sure that you get the notifications is to subscribe. I appreciate those of you that have, those of you that click like and support. Also my the ones, day oneers, my I Forever folks. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for the continued support. And let me know what you think. Do you think J.D. Vance is going to be the president of the United States before Christmas, before this December 25th? If you think J.D. Vance is going to be the president before December, put a 1 in the chat. I'd like to see your thoughts. And I want to see how many people, what people think about that, in all honesty. And just put a 1 in the chat if you think he is going to be. If you don't think he's going to be, put a 2 in the chat. And we take it from there. Let me see here. And we take it from there. 1 in the chat if you think he's going to be president before December. 2 in the chat if you don't think he's going to be president before December. Let me know what it do. Okay, Brian says he doesn't think so. Kevin says he doesn't think he's going to be president before December 25th. Who else? Let me know. If you think he's going to be president before December 25th, J.D. Vance, put a 1 in the chat. Steven wrote, all hail President Trump. Where you from? Russia, man? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Where you from, Steven? Hold on. Let me pause something. Yo, Steven, Novakowski. Let me know something. Where is your, like, you know, what state are you from? Are you from a particular state in the U.S.? I'm just curious about that. Look, he's calling me drunk, but look at his president. Look at his president. His president is caught up defending a pedophile. You know, do you defend pedophiles, Stephen? Okay, you from Jersey defending pedophiles. Okay, all right. Yeah, everybody, let me know where you from in the chat. Let me know where you from. Who defend? You see how these people get? I mean, they support people who defend pedophiles. This woman is a pedophile, and you call somebody else drunk. Yeah, okay, I feel you. That's how y'all think in Jersey, huh? I get you. Well, F you too, Stephen. I don't defend pedophiles, you know, but you guys do. Trump's about to pardon a pedophile. You know, that's what it is. His best friend was a pedophile. I mean, you don't seem to have a problem with that. Baltimore. Okay. Yeah, I think some of these people forget what they're involved in. You know, it's like, you know, you support a person whose best friend was a pedophile. You support a person whose best friend recorded a whole bunch of other pedophiles too and doesn't want you to know who the other pedophiles are. You don't want to know who the other pedophiles are. And what could be lamer than that? What could be lamer than that? There's nothing that could be more lamer than that.
Sitting on the earth, looking back at extinct. Then I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink. But I documented for the world what I see and think.
All right, y'all, I'll be back in a few hours. Be good. Thanks for sharing your noon with me. And I'll be back. The news is getting hot. We're just getting started today. I appreciate everybody. One.
You want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war. It's the same old song. They want war. All they really want is a war. Diversion every tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they want to keep you low, so they manifest the war. War. All they really want is a war. Diversion every tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they want to keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't stare. And like an ad, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war. All they really want is a war. Diversion every tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they want to keep you low, so they manifest the war. War. All they really want is a war. Diversion every tactic to make the